Trustee Kadir? Trustee Derblay? Trustee Schoenfeld? Here. Treasurer Botello?
Present.
Secretary Rosansky?
Here.
Vice President Trunko?
Here.
President Key?
Present.
Please
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're on approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 13th?
So motion. Oh,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say so motion.
Second.
And that's for the public hearing of the 13th.
Yes. Okay, Trustee Kadir is here.
702.
Yep, right there. Any comments on the minutes, or should we just vote?
No.
No comment. Okay, thank you. So Cassandra, are you doing the notes? Okay. Can you take the?
Yeah, so Trustee Kadir?
Here.
No,
This
Minutes.
is the vote for
vote
the,
for the minutes on
You're asking about
the minutes of the 13th, the public hearing.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, I approve. What
Okay.
you're talking about.
Trustee Derblay?
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trunko?
Yes.
President Key?
Yes.
Passes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September
13th.
13th special board meeting?
I'd like to make a motion for the, to approve the minutes of the September 13, 2023 special board meeting.
Second.
Any comments? No comment. All right, Cassandra?
All right, Trustee Kadir?
Yes, I approve.
Trustee Derblay?
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trunko?
Yes.
President Key?
Yes.
All right, 7 ayes, passes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the September 20th, 2023 regular board meeting?
So motion.
Second.
Trustee Kadir?
Yes.
Trustee Derblay?
Yes.
Trustee Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary
Yes.
Rosansky? Sorry. Vice President Trunko?
Yes.
President Key?
Yes.
Passes.
That's done.
Yes, so it is time for public comments, and just a reminder to trustees that although you may have the right to respond, doesn't mean you should, and also you do have a responsibility to give the public their opportunity to say what they are feeling. It's not our turn, it's their turn, and if you do make any false statements, I'm gonna try to prevent that, so thank you in advance.
Right?
Yep.
David Sutherland?
I was trying to think where they.
Hello, my name is David Sutherland. I use pronouns he, him, his. I just would like to acknowledge the library workers who are here, solidarity with your union and your efforts. After so many years on this board, you would think that Trustee Carolyn Derblick would have an inkling of how library works, but her recent behavior continues to prove otherwise. The absolute disrespect to the people who make the library a profession is inexcusable for a library board trustee. And I appealed in front of this board for Carolyn Derblick to immediately resign. But today I will take a different approach and read from one of our favorite Dr. Seuss books adapted to the situation. Marvin K. Mooney here. time has come, the time is now. Just go, 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 we don't care how. You can go by foot, you can go by cow. Carolyn Derblick, will you please go now? You can go on skates, you can go on skis. You can go in a hat, but please, go please. I don't care, you can go by bike. You can go on a Zyke bike if you like. If you like, you go in an old blue shoe. Just go, go, go. Please do, do, do. Carolyn Derblick, we don't care how. Carolyn Derblick, will you please go now? You can go on stilts. You can go by fish. You can go in a crunk car if you wish. If you wish, you may go by lion's tail or stamp yourself and go by mail. Carolyn Derblick, don't you know the time has come to go, go, go? Set yourself free, please, Carolyn D. You might like going in a Zumblezee. You can go by balloon or broomstick. Or you can go by a camel on a bureau drawer. Or you can go by bookmobile. Or jet. You don't care how, just get. Get yourself a gazoom. You can go out with a boom. Carolyn, 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 will you leave this room? Carolyn Derblick, we don't care how. Carolyn Derblick, will you please go now? We said go, and go we meant. The time has come, Ms. Ex-President. Thank you.
Hey Sutherland, I just have one question for you. I want to thank you for your illustration, but I think what would be most helpful if you would explain what it is that you're commenting about my behavior. There are no specifics,
We're
and I
not
think it would
having a
help.
discussion, though. He's not gonna respond to
He
you
doesn't
right
need to have a discussion. I'm asking him, what did he mean by my behavior?
That's
I've
not-
heard all about Dr.
That's
Seuss.
not what we're here for right now.
Please don't interrupt.
Yes, I will.
So my question to you is,
We're not
please explain.
asking questions to him right now. He gave his comment. He is done. We're moving on to the next person,
So in the
please.
future, if you'd like to
Who's next?
share,
Stephen
I might be
Yesel.
able to
Stephen Yesel.
relate to the concern you have.
Yeah, we'll let him in.
Well, he
He
just
heard
heard.
me.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, everyone. Stephen yourself.
Before you, there's one extra seat over there.
So, yeah, you don't have to sit in the hall.
I'm either here or there. I'm at the podium now. Evening, everyone. So,
Good evening.
yeah, I'm gonna raise the IQ a little bit after that last one here. But I'm not a communist. I'm a capitalist. I believe in individual freedom, private property, and the ability for people to flourish under success of their own. In communism, that does not happen. Nobody is made to succeed, and everybody's earnings are taken. This person here is a communist. He's proud of this. He's
Can you
openly
keep your
declared.
comments to the library and the board, please?
I'm talking to all of
He's
you,
talking.
so when you interrupt me, that just makes me stand here longer and want to come back more. Now, the other one, this guy was talking about behavior. Did anybody look at the Niles Journal this past weekend? Mr. Trunco got taken away his rights from going to the park for the rest of his life because he can't rein in his behavior. And it is so frustrating to see people pushed out into the spotlight here in this village. You have all these newspapers around and all the media going and saying about how wonderful everybody is here. Now, oh, we got a second chance. I'm a new man. 6 months later, and we're back to the same thing that we had 3 years ago in 2020, where Mr. Trunco was banned from the park for an entire year for slapping the phone out of a mother's hand in the tennis court. Now, this is part of why I came here, but last time I came here 5 months ago was about behavior. This dude's a fucking joke. This dude right
Watch the
here is a
language.
joke. I'm telling all of you, I'm letting you know,
No
that's what I
foul
think of
language,
this.
Steve, no foul language.
Pardon me.
Please.
But this whole thing here, I'm disappointed. Because I've been coming here for years. I haven't been here in the past 5 months. But the last time I came here was to talk about behavior. All of you on this board are supposed to rein in other members of this board. If somebody's out of hand, you butt in and tell them, no, we're not going to take this yelling and I know you probably are all shooken up hearing me yell a little bit here, but part of humanity. We have all of these emotions, but we also have to rein them in too. We don't go into shouting matches with other people for sports. Come on now. You got to do better than this. We got this whole village here, the park district, the village, and the library, and the township, all under the same political party. And you still want to oust 2 board members out of 7? You have majority. What are you waiting for with what you want to accomplish? I actually agree with the Sutherlands on some things. One of them being, what are you doing with the union? You promised everybody all of these big things, and now nothing's happening. You know, 2 years ago, we had plans too, as civilians.
Becky?
Time? Thank you.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys get done what you want. Have a good night.
That's all on the list.
Is there anyone else that would like to give public comment? We can move on to payment of the bills. Is there a motion to approve the operating expenses of $166,596.41, payroll expenses of $240,939.51, special reserve expenses of $24,573.85 for a total monthly expense of $432,082.77.
So moved.
I second.
Who first? I'm sorry.
Uh,
Thank you.
Jason moved, I
Jason.
seconded.
All right, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Durbin,
Yes.
trustee Schoenfeld,
Yes.
treasurer Botello,
Yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
vice president Trunko,
Yes.
president King.
Yes.
7 yes, it passes.
We are on to number 7, the treasurer's report.
Thank you so much. I did distribute copies to the trustees, and so the financial report for September 30th, as of September 30th, 2023. Beginning balance at the end of August 31st, 2023 is $13,728,729. Revenues came in with investment income, passports, and others, total of $43,205. Expenditures consisted of employee salaries at $245,540, employee fringe benefits $46,362, Social Security $17,891, unemployment at $398. That came up to $310,191. Other operating expenses, including library materials at $29,729. Library operations came in at $15,657. General and administrative costs, $31,561. Capital expenditures, $24,574. Utilities at $8,585. Building and maintenance, $10,955, and others at $1,298. Combined, it's $122,359. That leaves us with an ending balance on September 30th of $13,339,384. Madam President?
Thank you. Is there any questions? Thank you. We can move on to the executive director's report then. No?
Yeah.
All right, my submitted report, as always, I'm available for questions on that. Couple things that I wanted to point out or add. I hope that you all have taken the opportunity to complete the community survey, as well as everybody else in the room who's a member of the community. Please do that. Wanted to invite the trustees who haven't already acknowledged that they might be attending the Polish Heritage Fest. The flyer is on the counter there. Lacey and I are working on getting the art presentation scheduled for the November meeting. It is for the most part complete at this point, and no hiccups to report so far, but you can expect that we will try and get that on for the November And you will see from my report that I have made quite a few updates to the administrative section of the website. My goal being that before my time here is over, that that area of the website is up to date as possible. I think it's a great resource for whomever replaces me here to be able to quickly find things, and also important for the community. So I've reached out to some of the trustees for various information and updated things like the section on employee earnings and other financial categories on the website. So I will keep working on that, and if you all see or notice anything on the website that needs updating, please do let me know. Aside from that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
And the one thing you did mention about the survey, I personally received today in the mail a card asking to fill out the survey. And I'm asking people not to just see a card and throw it away. Please look at the card and fill out the survey, because this is the only way we will know in the future what our residents really want. So we can hopefully move forward in the proper manner.
Anyone else? Okay. I don't have any questions either for you, Pilar.
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
Moving on to the secretary's report.
There isn't one.
There isn't one. All right. So number 10, new business. We are really ugly for that. I'm gonna actually make a motion to, maybe you can help me, Pilar, with this, so that, because we're waiting for Don Renner from Kleinthorpe and Jenkins to join us for 10A.
Or should we pass and go back when he gets here?
Can we,
You can just defer it. Motion to defer it till later in the meeting.
until he gets here, and start with 10C?
Yeah.
I so move.
Second.
Thank you.
In that case, Madam President,
I move to also defer B because B is directly tied to A,
Right,
so.
I think do we need to vote on it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, so I move to defer A and B, so we can have one
10A and
vote.
B.
Second.
All right, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Derbley,
Yes.
trustee Schoenfeld.
Yes.
Patel,
yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
vice president Trunko,
Yes.
president Key.
Yes.
Passes.
Madam President, I make a motion on item C, new business. My motion is for the board to approve reinvesting of some investments that have matured. The total amount comes out to $1,250,000 originally. So that's the motion, to
I second.
reinvest $1,250,000.
I second.
Discussion.
Yes, you wanna
Sure. So
explain?
for discussion, the library has investments on some funds, and those investments have matured. Two of those investments at the amount of $250,000 had matured towards the end of August, and three of those investments matured during the month of September. Now, generally what happens is that those funds remain in daily liquidity, meaning that they're being paid out through the rate that's on the market, and generally that's about 5%. Moving to reinvest it long-term, 1-year term, gives us better return, and so the motion is for us to reinvest those funds that are available at this point.
What percentage are they giving at this point?
So,
What percentage? Did I
Sure.
say it correctly? 'Cause
yes.
I didn't listen to myself.
There are a lot of options. I don't have all the options in front of me. We are working with a representative from Fifth Third Bank that has daily rates that we can secure if the board approves the authority to reinvest. But generally, it's, I want to say from about 5.10 to as much as maybe 5.15, 5.20 percent. And again, it goes on the type of investment.
So it depends daily, okay,
Daily and which fund we choose.
I understand.
Any questions?
Can you say those percentages again, trustee Botello?
So the percentages that I had were at 5.10% to as much as, looking here, 1 second, 5.20%.
Thank you.
And that's Fifth Third Bank, you said?
Yes. The majority of our long-term investments are with Fifth
They
Third
have
Bank.
been for quite a while.
Absolutely.
This is something that Cindy has handled in the past, but something that Roberto and I have been delegated since then. Any questions? Okay, Cassandra?
Trustee Kadir?
No, pass.
Trustee Derblick?
Yes.
Trustee Shanto?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trunko?
Yes.
President King?
Yes.
1 nay, 6 days, it passes.
Don't you, does it, trustee?
Yeah,
Kadir
Yeah,
gets
I'm
to
gonna,
vote now?
I'm just
Yeah,
abstaining.
it's-
Oh, I'm so
Abstain.
sorry.
I passed, I'll
Yeah.
abstain since it's 6-0 anyway.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2302, allowing the board secretary to have temporary custody of verbatim recordings and minutes of closed sessions of the board outside of the main office of the library?
So
So
moved.
Second. Who cares?
So just to make it clear to everyone, this is for temporary custody of the recording and minutes. So the purpose of it is for creating written minutes with the expectation that the recordings and minutes will be returned to the district's main office within 2 weeks of time. Any questions?
Yes.
Go for it.
I think, and I know trustee Keene, you have been totally disconnected from what has been happening regarding my difficulty trying to view these audio recordings. I had contacted trustee Rosansky since August, requesting her availability repeatedly with no responses. She never told me I'm not available, and I was continuing to hound her or anyone else. I was always asking for her availability. But my concern about this motion to allow her to take these audio recordings home is a second issue, which she's exhibited her irresponsibility in losing the audio recordings. I had to wait over a month for her to find them. So now you want to give
Actually,
her.
it was in there
So
sooner
now-
than that, but I didn't tell you.
So now you want to give her temporary custody for 2 weeks. I find that risky, and I don't think I think safety is the concern there. Secondly, no trustee on this board should have to wait 2 weeks to view an audio recording. I don't see why she would have to take all 12 or 13 audio recordings home at one time. She can't possibly type 13 of them at once. I could see allowing her to take 1 or 2 and they come back in a day. But this whole board cannot be waiting 2 weeks
to be able to view this information. It's imperative that we see this for our position as trustees. So I don't know what you're actually thinking about as far as temporary custody, but 2 weeks is unacceptable.
Carolyn, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't on the board prior. What was the policy and procedure prior to that, and how long was that allowed for the secretary prior to do that?
To do what?
To take recordings home, because I know they were not.
The
stored.
recordings were taken home because they were being viewed at the library, so they were at her location. But we weren't in the middle of union negotiations.
I
No, but you need to understand the
I'm
reason.
asking a very simple question.
Okay, but you don't,
The
let me
policy-
answer,
Okay.
Yeah.
let
Do I
me
need to
answer
vet
your
these?
simple question.
The policy before was, it was at the prior secretary's home, and how long were those recordings held there?
Indefinitely.
They're held there.
Yes,
The
they were held
question
there.
isn't how long were they held there.
Right.
The question is how long would it take for you to obtain them?
Okay.
I can't wait 2 weeks
So,
to
here's-
obtain them.
Here's
You
what-
haven't
Can I
been.
just
You
ask
That's
a
the
follow-up?
difference.
I'm trying to understand. And then if, I'm trying to understand, because I wasn't on the board at that point.
Well, then let
correct?
me finish when I respond. Thank you.
Okay. When a trustee at that point would want to see something from the prior secretary, how would they go about it? What was the procedure for that?
It's very simple. You contact the trustee who has the tapes, just like I contact trustee
It
who
wasn't
has
so
the
simple
tapes.
because I had to file a
Okay, and
violation
that's not the
for it,
issue.
so-
The issue is right now, we're in the middle of negotiations. She
Thank you.
cannot hold all the tapes for 2 weeks.
Okay, so to respond to most of what you had said, first of all, you cannot view an audio. You have to listen to it.
Thank you for being
Second of
so
all,
critical. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what, I am actually also aware of everything that's been going on because Secretary Rosansky copies me on all of the emails.
Well,
so
then
I am
you're
aware.
then you must be missing the point.
Can I finish?
Because I
now,
can read
please?
them
I'd
to
like
you.
to, get the same respect from you. I let you talk and now it's my
I
turn.
apologize.
Thank you. Yeah, so in the past, the tapes were held all the time at the secretary's house, and it was not easy to have access to them at that time either. I know this from personal experience. I have no problem with Secretary Rosansky taking them home for 2 weeks. I appreciate your opinion, and we have other people as opinions to hear as well. I don't know that she lost a tape at any time. I'm not aware of
I
that.
have one that.
Yes,
I
you're not
have
aware. You have
opened
copies of the
back.
Okay,
emails.
so it's here now, right?
It's been here.
Oh, but
for a
it took
couple-
how many
I
weeks
also
for me to see
understand
it?
that you were able to
It's in
listen to the
it's
audio
been in there for
because
weeks.
Pilar was here, and so that made it easier for you.
No, Pilar was my saving grace because she would
Exactly.
not return emails or phone calls.
So what
And
I'm
now you
saying
wanna
to
give
you
her
is
full
that
custody.
it was accessible to you because Pilar
No,
was here.
now it's accessible because Pilar is here.
That's what I said.
But if all of these are in her home, how am
They're
I
not all in her
accessible to
home.
them?
They were not all of,
Well, that's what you're planning to do here. You want
No.
to leave them in her house for 2 weeks.
whatever she's working on,
Very likely.
which is not all the tapes.
Very likely they will not be there.
Okay, we need to know what tapes
What
she's
tapes?
working on so I can come to the library and view the other audios.
Can I have
What
a
is the plan you
question?
have in place?
I have a question.
I had a
Pilar,
logbook, when you
Good.
actually had viewed the actual,
It wasn't in
tapes.
the box, so that's what I was
the
just gonna ask.
logbook is there.
It is now?
It
'cause it
has
wasn't-
been there.
I'm not aware of a logbook. I couldn't find a logbook.
When we looked at it
created a
together,
new
there was
logbook.
no logbook.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the
Because
logbook.
that was the one thing
Well, it's
I
not here
thought
now,
would
so I
be
don't know where it
a
is.
very important thing. And I will make an effort to go out before I go out of town next week and get a book that we could use as a logbook. People write down the day, the time, and what they're listening to. And I don't feel,
Yes.
I feel that is the information that was said, that should be in the logbook. And in the past, when Secretary Schoenfeld had them, and I did listen, I don't remember there being a logbook.
Yes, there was.
Unless,
There was a signature,
unless-
you have it. I can actually show it to you, because I have copies of it. When you logged in, when you actually reviewed them, you logged out, and the time and the date.
well, unless Joe did it for me, because I don't remember being given
Really,
a
this
sheet
is
that was
irrelevant
right
at this
there.
Okay,
And
yes, it is. Can we
that's
get
in
back to the
past.
motion?
I'm just saying for the
Yes.
future, I want to make sure we have one.
Okay, so what is the
Trustee Kadir or
specific,
Botello, do you have any comments?
I'm ready for a vote.
I'm asking for the specific
We're just
custody that
voting
you're
on yes or
arranging.
no. We're not asking for specifics. We're
So we're
voting.
giving her 12 audios to take home
Yes.
for 2 weeks and
2
nobody
weeks.
else
I
can
didn't
access
say I
them?
would take
No,
them for
she's
2
not
weeks.
taking
That's,
all of them for 2 weeks. She's allowed to take any given audio for 2 weeks. That doesn't mean she's grabbing them
And
all
how are we
taking
to
them.
know that, so we don't come here and waste our
Because there's a
time?
logbook.
What do you mean, I'm gonna come to the library to look at a logbook to see what
Well,
she's
you
taken
can,
out?
you can also, you can alternatively call or email and say, hey, what's in the logbook, what's out?
So, okay, I have a question. For 2 weeks, you're saying for the rest of the year, every 2 weeks, she's gonna have audio recordings at her house? She's not gonna be completed in 2 weeks with all of these recordings?
I'm not dictating how Secretary
Right.
Rosinski is
Could you
or isn't going to
explain what we're
complete stuff.
doing here?
We're voting. Cassandra,
No,
take
I'm
the vote, please.
asking, what is the temporary custody?
Cassandra,
For
take
the
the vote, please.
entire year, she's going to have our audio at her house?
no,
I think I'm
No, no,
entitled to
that's what
answer, to get an answer. She doesn't
She's
just
going to
take
have,
them.
she is going to have any given, what we are voting on is she is going to have any given recording that she needs to take notes on at any particular point in time. She can have any given recording for up to 2 weeks.
One recording for up to 2
No,
weeks.
meaning so if she takes one recording today, she has until 2 weeks from today to return it. And then if she takes a second recording
that's
5
not
days from
how I
now,
understand it.
2 weeks for one recording?
That's not how I understand it, because seriously, if, for one of those recordings, I was figuring, and hopefully I don't offend anybody.
You know, I don't think that we went through
You
this
know what,
before. Let's
I don't
just
think
vote.
it needs to be
okay?
justified.
There's a need to view, there's a
Fine.
need to listen to these audio recordings. You can't deny a whole board of trustees from that opportunity.
We're not.
Because yes, you are. You can't even identify what temporary custody is.
Please call the
Trustee,
roll,
for up to 2
Cassandra.
weeks.
Okay, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Derblick,
No.
trustee Schoenfeld.
No.
Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes,
vice president Trunco,
Abstain.
president King.
Yes.
4 yes, 2 no's, 1 abstain, it passes.
I'm gonna make a motion to address A and B. Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay. I move.
second,
Just give me a minute to catch up. I'm caught up. Is everyone else ready to go ahead? Thank you. So I'd like to welcome Don Renner from Kleinthorpe and Jenkins. He's here to join us tonight for a discussion about options for the levy. And the reason that he is here is because, you know, over the last month or two, Pilar and I and the board have been working behind the scenes very hard to find the highest possible levy that we can do. It has been a little bit of a search, but we have been working diligently even in the last couple of days, and we've had a new development since Monday, and so we have Attorney Renner here to help us understand what that is. I want everyone to know the board is aware of how crucial this levy is for us, and I believe that the board is in favor of raising it to the highest possible levy that we can do so that we can continue working for the union negotiations and the staffing levels and the needs of the patron. So until earlier this week, we thought that 5% on last year's levy was the highest. We have another option that is a possibility now, and I would like to ask if you would mind explaining that to us. Thank you.
Sure.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
Good evening.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about PTEL and just mechanics. Please stop me if this is all just repetitive or something that you're well aware of. But I always find that in talking with boards, it's a good idea to just kind of summarize PTEL and the process and make certain that we all have an understanding so that we can then reflect on what the impact of a levy will have on next year's extension. So as you know, PTEL, Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, is a law that was adopted in the 90s. It was meant to place a cap on taxing districts' ability to increase their levies on an annual basis. Before PTEL, there were really no restrictions on what a taxing district could do to increase its levy year over year, okay, other than approval by, boards and then potentially, political ramifications that come with that. The legislature saw fit to place a cap on the ability to increase your levy on a year-to-year basis. And that cap is based on the change of CPI from year to year, okay? Over the last several years, CPI and inflation has been very low. So the change in levy increases year over year for PTEL taxing districts has been very minimal, because as inflation is low, if it's under 1%, like historically it has been in many years in recent years, the change from one year to the next has been very minimal. Now we're in an inflationary market, and really this is the first time we've been in an inflationary market since PTEL was instituted. Now, when the tax cap was put in place, they said, yes, we'll look at the change in CPI, and that'll be the extent that you can change your levy from year to year, but we're going to put a cap on that, and the cap on that is 5%. So in the last couple of years, where we're in an inflationary marketplace, where we have inflation at 8% or 7%, we're actually above that 5% level, right? So we're starting to see, as you know, at our firm, a lot of taxing districts struggling with how to contemplate forming their levies in an inflationary market, because their expenses are growing at a higher rate than they can actually levy year over year, okay? And this year is certainly an example of that. Historically, a lot of taxing districts who are subject to PTEL would raise their levies under 5%. And why did they pick 5%? Well, there's a law, it's called Truth in Taxation Law. And that says if you go out and issue a levy that is more than 105% of last year's extension, you have to have a public hearing, because you have to inform your public voters that you are actually increasing more than 5%. So the practice amongst many taxing districts, not just libraries, villages, school districts, park districts, a lot of them have just gone out to levy under 5%. That's been a historical practice. That modus operandi, if you will, has been challenged in an inflationary market process. So I'm having conversations with a lot of taxing districts nowadays about, well, we can't rely on that practice anymore, because now our expenses are going up by 8%. How do we get the most dollars that we can so that we can match our expenses that are also going up, okay? So that, in a nutshell, is the PTEL process, okay? It's important to understand a few terms tonight, and it's important to understand the calculation of what's called the limiting rate, okay? The limiting rate is your maximum tax rate in the funds that are subject to PTEL. Not all of your funds are subject to PTEL, although in your case, because you have no bonds outstanding, all of your funds that you levy for are subject to the PTEL. So the limiting rate calculation is the maximum rate as applied to all of your funds on an annual basis. Last year, your limiting rate in 2022, we just got the extension reports in the last week or so. Last year's limiting rate under PTEL was 0.36, okay? That's the maximum rate that you could have levied against all of your EAV in the district. And your total extension equaled a rate of 0.245. So you were well below your maximum limiting rate for the 2022 tax extension, okay? To calculate the limiting rate, the Cook County clerk uses a statutory formula, okay? And it starts with last year's aggregate extension. What's the aggregate extension? That's the total tax dollars that you got in response to the levy that you issued from last year. So last year, the library issued a levy of $5 million, and the total extension that came in the door for the library last year was $5.163 million, okay? So traditionally, and I'll get to the caveat in a minute. Traditionally, the limiting rate starts with last year's extension of 5.163, and then you would multiply that amount by 1 plus the change in CPI, which this year is 5%, okay, because it's capped at 5%. So multiply by 1.05, and that's the numerator of the limiting rate calculation. The denominator of the limiting rate calculation is this upcoming year's EAV. So for this levy cycle, we're talking about the 2023 EAV, which we don't know yet, right? So as we're putting together the 2023 levy, which has to be turned in by the last Tuesday of December this year, we don't have a full picture of the formula. Every taxing district is in this predicament. So you have to estimate, in essence, as you're submitting your levy. Last year's EAV was just a little over 2.1 billion in this taxing district, okay? Last year was an assessment year. So in Cook County, we operate on a triennial reassessment process. So last year, your total EAV went from 1.74 billion to 2.1 billion in the district. So it was a big, significant jump last year, okay? As you can imagine, as your denominator goes up, your rate goes down, right? There's an inverse relationship between an increasing EAV and your limiting rate. However, when you have a larger EAV, even though your rate goes down, that means you're multiplying that rate by a larger EAV as far as how much tax dollars you're going to bring in. Okay, so that's the limiting rate calculation. Let me go to that caveat that I was talking about. So traditionally, you start with last year's aggregate extension, okay? And last year's aggregate extension, again, was just $5.16 million roughly. There's a caveat in the PTEL, and it says, when you decrease your levy from one year to the next, then the Cook County clerk is not going to use last year's extension as your starting point. They use the highest extension from the last 3 years, okay? And that's not optional. It's just, that's statutory. So in 2021, the extension for the library was just a little over 6 million, okay? So in 2022, your extension went down, okay? So that triggers the Cook County clerk to use a different starting point than last year's aggregate extension. So instead of starting that limiting rate calculation with a 5.163, they will look at 2021, 2020, and 2019 tax years for the highest extension in those 3 years. And in 2019, the highest extension of those 3 years was in 2019, and that was almost 7.2 million.
2020, sorry.
In 2020, I'm sorry, you're right. 2020, 21, and 2022, I apologize. So over that period of time, the 7.2 million in 2020 was the year that they utilized. In fact, in 2022, because your levy went down from 2020 to 2021, the Cook County clerk did the same thing last year. So if you look at last year's extension report, instead of using the 2021 extension as the starting point, they used the 2020 because that was the highest extension in that 3-year window. So what does that mean? That means instead of calculating the limiting rate using that numerator with 5.163 times 1.05, you use the 7.193. I think it's roughly 7.2, don't quote me on that.
It's close enough.
It's close enough. 7.2 times the 1.05, which is actually just the same numerator from last year, because you're utilizing the same figures. So that means that limiting rate from last year of 0.36, it's probably gonna go down if we assume that the EAV in 2023 goes up, which is probably a fair assumption. We could probably talk to the assessor's office and maybe get a little bit of handle on that, but they're gonna be vague in their answers, right? Because they don't wanna commit to something. But you can look at your historical changes in EAV from prior years and try and make a best guess.
Has that ever gone down?
It has. So in, so 2019 was the prior reassessment year. So it was at 1.8 billion. And then 2020 went up slightly to 1.862, but 2021 went down to 1.74.
Okay.
So it does happen.
But it fluctuates a little bit, it doesn't fluctuate like crazy.
Yeah, and that's just historical, right? So it can change, and, you know, I would be remiss to say I can tell you with a crystal ball what it's gonna be in the future.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. But you can at least get a good estimate, right? And provide a range, if you will, you know, using scenarios as far as where you think your limiting rate may be, right? So if we expect the limiting rate to be roughly then that 0.36 number, and we expect EAV to be roughly within that $2.1 million number, well, last year, the total amount of extension that the library could have levied was almost $7.6 million. The library levied and got 5.1. So it left $2.4 million on the table last year. Okay? And so if the library decides this year that they want to just hold their levy flat and levy at $5 million, you're probably going to be in a situation that's similar to last year, where you leave roughly about $2.4 million on the table that you could otherwise obtain under the PTEL limiting rate calculation. Okay. So as you construct this levy, the question for the board here is, are we comfortable with, you know, proceeding with a levy like last year? Do we want to try and increase it? Do we want to try and capture some of that additional revenue? How much? Now, you got to keep in mind, if you submitted a levy for 6 million or 7 million, whatever it is, that's not my job to be here tonight. I'm just here to educate you on the process. But if you do go to 6 million, you're going to have that truth in taxation hearing, because you're going to be over 105% of last year's number, which means you just have to hold a public hearing. You have to issue a notice before you have that truth in taxation hearing, before you actually ultimately adopt your levy. Okay?
So, are you about to get into the truth and taxation hearing, or?
I can answer any questions on that.
Yeah, so what I wanted to understand about that hearing is, it's simply a public hearing, it's still ultimately within the board's discretion to make a decision after those public comments are received.
Yeah, and there's a lot of taxing districts that just hold a truth in taxation hearing routinely every year, even if they don't go over 105%. They just think it's a good practice to do it.
Okay, understood.
But yes, we're opening up the public hearing, the public has an opportunity to comment on your proposals, and then after you've heard from them, then you close the public hearing. It's just a formality.
Okay.
Similar to a budget hearing.
Yeah. You've got a publication in the newspaper that has to occur
30 days?
no more than 14 days, but not less than 7 days before you have the truth and taxation
So it's
hearing.
not as much of a,
Those 7 days.
No,
Yeah.
so you
So
could do
that
it
is-
7 days in advance.
Pilar has the dates all figured out.
okay.
I've already drafted the notice and the certificate.
Thank you.
Maybe this is a question for you, but I'm gonna ask you it anyway. What does this do to an average household in our district if we go back up to the 7.1 and then go to a 5%? What does that increase look
So
like?
I didn't do that math in advance, but I can certainly work with Pilar and provide that analysis. As far as like any mathematical analysis you'd like me to run, I can get that for you in advance of your next meeting. Like oftentimes we'll do, what is a typical $300,000 home? What is this gonna do to that household?
Yeah,
Mhm.
if we could have an idea of what this will do to an average household, I'd like to see that number
Okay.
in the village of Niles or the unincorporated area of Des Plaines.
Unincorporated too.
Yeah, I said or
Or
unincorporated, Des Plaines.
unincorporated.
Yeah,
Or both, actually. I mean,
Yeah.
the average
No.
household in our district.
I'd be happy to work with Pilar. I'm sorry I didn't have that prepared for
No,
tonight,
That's
but yeah.
fine,
Understand.
because you didn't hear, well, you know.
Thank you for,
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you
what
for
you
coming.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's okay. That's okay, no
You mean
problem.
10 hours of notice was?
It's okay. No, this is important, and I want to make sure everybody understands how
So,
this
yeah,
works.
so if we can get that information before we actually have to vote, that would be,
I think it's important, I don't think this would be something for you, Don, but maybe Pilar or someone, then if we're gonna be looking at what that would be per household, I'd also like to know then what was it per household this year
Exactly,
and
compared
last
to
year
what it
and the
was.
year that we had a regular levy, so that we
Absolutely.
can compare what it used to be to what it was and what it could be. You
so
know what I
yes.
mean?
Yeah, I think maybe over the same timeframe, the last 3 years, if we could look at that.
You
that
know,
would be-
I was just, this evening before I came here after dinner, I was just looking at the history of your levies. The library has not levied up to the limiting rate since 2012.
I know,
Yeah, 2012 was the last time.
even when we had, and it was 8 years ago, because I
Mhm.
remember I was here,
Mhm.
when we had the same situation come up, we did not go up to the maximum that we could use.
Mhm.
So I know for a fact from being here for the last 8 years,
Mhm.
we haven't.
And please don't take that comment as a criticism, I'm just
Oh, it's
pointing-
not, I don't
pointing
take
out
it as a
the fact,
criticism.
That's all. That's
I
all.
don't take it as a criticism.
Yeah.
You know, you know,
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Does
It was
that,
extremely helpful.
okay,
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's awesome, thank you.
sure. And Pilar, you'll follow up with me?
I will email you tomorrow,
Okay,
or-
sounds good.
next Tuesday. I'll email you.
Okay. Is that all you need me for?
I think that is all we
Okay,
need.
it's nice
Thank you so
meeting
much.
all of you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Have a
Thanks a lot.
good evening.
Have a good evening.
No, I don't. Yes.
All right, so,
So I just need a sense of direction. I'm assuming you'd like me to draft the levy with those numbers, the option 3 numbers that were passed out.
That's my
That's-
preference.
I feel that that would be the direction I would like to go in. I don't know if that's the majority of us at this point.
I would like to see the numbers on what it's gonna do to the tax, to the citizens.
I can provide those at the same time.
Yeah.
My urgency only comes from the fact that my contract here ends December 5th. So, unless you guys are comfortable just doing this potentially in December, doing the levy by yourself without a director here, that's fine too. But if we want to wrap this up in November while I'm still here,
I
then
personally
we
would
should
feel more
draft an
comfortable with that.
ordinance or a couple of ordinances so that there's something on the table in November for you all to approve if you feel comfortable doing so. So I can do both of those things, provide the numbers and have a draft ordinance ready for vote.
I think that it makes a lot of sense to do it while you're here in November, not try to do it without you. I'm comfortable with, I'm comfortable with the option that Don just presented. Does anyone want to have a different option presented in
Meaning
an
which
ordinance?
one?
We can, so Pilar is saying she can draft separate ordinances if we aren't all like on the same page, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can just, I can have
Is it-
3 separate ordinances so that you
I
can
would
decide
do
in
3.
But
in December.
I'm a little confused, like,
Yeah,
why would we
same here.
need, couldn't it just be like insert number, why do you need a whole separate
We have to have a
ordinance?
TIT hearing, a truth and taxation hearing, if you guys are going to approve an
Right,
ordinance.
but what I'm saying is whether it's 7.569591 or 7.238522, you're gonna have a truth and taxation hearing either way. The only
No,
way,
you don't need a truth and taxation hearing if you are going 5% above the 5 million.
no, that's what I'm saying, as long, if it's more than 5% above the 5 million, because the max right now is 7.569, right? So anything between whatever that 5.6 number is and 7.569
Right.
requires truth and taxation
Correct.
hearing.
But
So-
if you want me to draft a levy that's flat and a levy that's 5%, those don't require TIT hearings, but also
Right.
the TIT hearing notice requires me to indicate what our intended levy increase is going to be.
So, my question, even though technically we weren't going to do this vote until after we have the public hearing, and I personally feel we should have a public hearing, we need to give you which ones we prefer, such as if we want one at 7193 or 7209 or
Right.
75.
Maybe, trustee
We need
Peters, what you're saying is that we have the TIT for this highest option, we can reject it at the meeting and do a lower option that doesn't require. a
No,
TIT.
no, no, what I'm saying is, sorry. What I'm saying is, any option that is above 5.6-ish, or whatever the 1.05% of 5.163 is, right?
Mhm.
Any option that is above that can be, so the way I understand this law to read is we have the flexibility to have the levy anywhere from 0 to 7.569.
We can have it from 0 to 100%. We could double our levy, it's a request.
So, well, I think what we need, you need some direction, right? But one thing he did say was that we can have a hearing no matter what. So
Yeah.
let's plan on having a
So let's just
hearing,
plan on having a hearing.
because we can have it whether we have a flat levy or
But I
an
have to
increase.
say,
Oh,
in the
she
hearing
has to
notice,
put it in
she's gotta
paper.
insert what the intended
Okay.
levy rate is.
Right, but wouldn't that just be put in a number?
But it has to be done
Hearing date?
before, however
I
many
have-
days she was told, before the meeting, so the public knows.
I have to put in the number that we intend to raise the levy at, I have to put in the percentage of increase it is over the prior year's extension in the notice to the meeting.
Yeah, but I understand that, but is that notice, are we intending that notice to go out before the November meeting? Is that
It
what you're
has
saying?
to, if we're having a public hearing.
It has to be published on the November 1st or November 8th.
Okay, understood. We're having the public hearing at the November meeting?
Right before,
That
yes.
is our suggestion.
Ah,
That's
the part I
normally,
missed. Okay,
that's
got it, got
normally
it.
the way
I
it's
was,
done.
like,
No,
really
that's
confused.
normally the way it's
Got it.
done. You do the
Okay.
public hearing and then you do the vote.
Ask her about that, because I think she's.
Understood. Okay, that's what I was missing.
Question,
Sorry about
question
that.
for you.
Yeah.
Would you suggest doing that hearing a week before so we have time to communicate potential, anything back to you, or so that we have, because doing it right before, we may not have enough time to digest it ourselves as trustees of the information we may get from the public.
I mean, that's up to you, if you feel like the information from the public is going to change your
Change your
opinion on the
decision.
levy, then then perhaps you need more time.
Isn't that the point of a public hearing?
Yeah.
That you should potentially change your mind?
Well,
Can I
but
just
she
throw-
still needs to have a number to put in paper.
Right, so,
I got, I'm not clear on what number or numbers we're thinking about. So can we get that on the table? I don't know what
can
numbers
discuss it.
Pilar is going to use.
That's what she's
one of the
asking
numbers
us.
being proposed is 7569591.
Carolyn, it's on, I believe most of the numbers are here on this paper.
It's on this page.
This one. I don't
No,
see
yeah.
7.5. I see,
It's in the third
It's in the
paragraph.
third paragraph.
oh, there it is. Okay.
It's highlighted.
Okay, so we've already got the number. Okay, my mistake. All right, I was
And
listening
you're
to
gonna
him.
base it upon a homeowner for 300,000 for his home, his or her home?
That's not what I'm.
No,
This
it's
is
not.
based
That's
on-
what we were talking
Don-
about with the
Don's.
attorney.
Okay, Don's gonna.
And he's gonna tell us if you have a $300,000 house within the Niles city limits and also in the unincorporated area, this is how much your taxes would be.
Affected.
Basically.
Okay, so back to these numbers. This is the high, correct?
Correct.
All right, so are we coming up with 3 numbers to
The
present to
other
the
two
public?
are in the packet, they were attached
I don't
to
know
the
if it's part-
motion
We're
and
giving our direction.
So this is the high and the,
the board
So you're
requested
gonna
a flat
publish
and a
all
5.
3 in the newspaper?
I would not suggest it.
No.
Okay, then,
If we
then
ask for that.
what I'm confused about is if we're not
where is
getting,
the
are
flat?
we getting these numbers about
I
the
know, I
effect on the
don't
levy
see,
prior to
It's-
the publication?
That's up to you. I don't, that, if
Well,
you
Mary,
want
Oh,
that.
option one, option
we
two,
can
I
only
see.
have a
Thank you.
discussion tonight. We can't
We're
take a
not
vote
voting
on
tonight
what
because
that
of the
number
way
is,
the
because
agenda is.
it's not written that we can
it's a
take a vote on.
discussion, right?
So we could sit here and all say that we want $8 million, to use a
But
number,
we can't
but we
vote.
can't vote anything, we can't do
I,
anything.
no, I get that part. What I'm asking is, so
It's the next
you're
step.
saying, which is a viable concern, that you wanna know what taxes are gonna be on, say, a $300,000 house. right?
I want all the information before I make a decision.
Right,
yes,
so,
Which is what we all should
so
do.
if that's the case, right, then we can't give Pilar a number until we have that information.
Correct.
Right.
So then, how are we deciding on what number to give her right now if we don't even have that information?
We can't even get, if, right now, the only thing we can do is ask for the options that we have, even if you just go off of these options, because for us to be able to give her a number that's a board majority, you'd have to take a vote. And we can't do that because how this is written, it's a motion to discuss.
It's a motion to discuss.
It's only a
It's not
discussion, so you
motion to
can't,
vote.
you can't turn around and we can't even take a vote on what the number is that we're all comfortable with. Plus, we don't all have the information. We have to get the full information from all the details to be able to do this.
So then how are we gonna get a
problem
notice
here.
published before the
Before
next
the
meeting?
next
That's what I'm
meeting.
asking.
You
She
could-
has 14 to 9 days.
7 to 14 days.
Okay, 7 to 14. So the thing is, if they get us the information within the next week.
We can't vote on it though, we're not. in a
No, but
meeting
you
though.
Yeah,
can
you
call,
can have
you
a-
can
You
call the
can't-
taxation, you could then put it in oh no, you still
You
can't
can't
vote
put
on
it in the
No,
paper
you can't
because you
vote it.
can't vote on it,
You'd have
that's
to-
the
you'd
whole,
have to have
that
a
was the
special
point I was
meeting.
trying to get
Special
at.
meeting.
You'd have to have a special meeting just to vote on it, and at that point, you could do this, oh no, you couldn't, you'd have
No,
to do,
you'd have-
you'd have to do a
you'd have to-
special meeting just for that one topic.
Yeah,
And it's not worth the aggravation. But we can't vote on it today because it's not listed to vote.
It's
Can I ask
just a
another
motion to
question?
discuss.
Who is providing the information regarding the households? Where are we getting that from?
Don, the gentleman that was.
Do we know how long it's going to take him?
He's gonna talk to Pilar next Tuesday, they're gonna talk about everything.
Oh.
Pilar is at
What's there
staff,
to talk about? Can he just do it?
I have no idea. I don't know how he does it.
What does he need Pilar for? You just go, I mean, if he needs to
you
know
just
about.
use tax numbers,
Yeah,
whatever
you
they are.
just get
I
it
don't
from
know.
Cook County.
I can talk to him tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. That'd be a good idea. Because all he should do is be giving her the information.
Yeah,
So-
you should just like email it to
Is
you.
there another way around this besides having a special meeting for this? I don't really see
I don't
it.
think so.
I mean, if you all want more information before you make a decision, then I don't see any way around it.
And what's the time frame for that then? To make sure everything else, if we decide to go with something where we have to have the hearing, when do we have to have that, like?
And just because we give you a number, say even if it was the highest one, which I'm not saying it will be, that doesn't mean we have to go with that, because we can vote for a
That's
lower
true.
amount.
correct.
Correct.
That'll get a
So-
lot of people to come out to the public hearing.
Yeah, yes, it will. So, I mean, if we,
We just have to put a CIT notice in the paper if any one of those amounts is going to be more than 105%.
which all three of those are, so
No.
No.
She's got a,
Only one of them is.
mm-hmm.
what, the 7.5?
There's a
No.
5%
There's 5%
increase, there's a
increase.
0% increase, and there is this 7,569 number. The 0 and the 5 do not require.
I guess what I'm asking you also is, can we do a number that is higher than 5%, lower than the 7.5?
Yes. We
We
did
can
that
do
last
whatever
time
we
we
Yeah,
had
right.
that situation.
So that's all I was saying, so it's a fluid, it's a continuum,
Yes.
it's not a,
Yes.
Right,
it's
but we
not
can't
it's
just.
not
But
you have
we
just three
can't
options.
vote on
No,
what
but we
number.
have to narrow it down somehow to get to a number. We can't just keep
I personally think
swimming.
one of those three numbers,
Yeah, this conversation is
that-
pretty futile.
This conversation is futile if you all are requiring more information. If you do not require more information, then a decision can be made and we can move forward.
Except that we
can't
can't
make a
We can't
vote
vote.
because it's
Can't
not.
vote.
You don't need to vote, you just give me a direction, just like you
Well,
did
see-
But you'd have to
for
get,
other
you'd
things.
have to get a consensus.
See,
from
You
the
are
board.
allowed to all say,
yeah.
yes, we are generally in agreement that you can move forward with option number 3 and draft the levy. You're not approving an ordinance.
No, we're
I
just,
don't know.
I don't think we can.
No, I don't
the
think
thing
we can.
is,
I trust you, Pilar.
I
we are
mean,
going to
it's-
get
this is up to
the
you
information
guys. This isn't my meeting,
needed
it's yours.
prior to the vote. So even if we say 7.2, which is the middle of those three, and we have our public hearing, that doesn't mean we have to vote to accept 7.2. We can vote for something less.
All right, are we requiring more information?
Yes.
I would like to have all the information before we make a decision as a board.
That's 2. Is there,
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I think since we represent the public, the residents, we should be concerned about the impact.
Right, but the other element of it, since we're not absolutely tied to the number regardless, then whether we get that information now, as long as we have the information before the final vote.
Exactly,
Then
this is what
it's-
I just said.
Yeah, so in other words, let's say today we say, okay, here's a number. And then we get the information and you say, oh my God, your taxes are going up $7 billion. Then you're like, oh, we can't do that. Then you can change before the final vote comes. So today, if it's allowed, based on the way the agenda is worded, to tell Pilar, please proceed with this number, then we can do that without having a special
And
meeting,
like
if
I
that's
had
allowed
said
under the-
before,
Yeah.
Mayor,
All it
that
says,
is how we handled it 8 years ago. And we did not vote to accept the highest amount.
So I think
If
the
we-
answer to the question is that yes, they want more information and we need to schedule a special meeting.
If,
If they want more information, we need to schedule a special meeting.
okay,
So let's do that.
I do have one other question if I may. If, let's say we put out the $7.2 million and we have the public hearing and we decided that we wanted to go up to the 7.56, then we'd have to have another taxation meeting because for the public, because we'd be increasing what we talked about.
After we have the truth and taxation meeting, we cannot increase.
Well, then put it for the highest amount, and we can
Yeah,
increase.
then that's pretty simple.
You
Let's
get
buy a
people out
number,
here.
And then let people come, and if they convince us that it should go down, then we can consider that.
I would have no
Doesn't that make
problem
sense?
going, I would have no problem going below that. My concern is we get
We can
the
change that.
information before we vote.
It's not written.
I don't personally feel it's necessary to have a special meeting for this one topic.
So let me
When we're
ask,
not gonna
let
vote
me ask
on it
this
until
question.
the next meeting.
Pilar, is it within the jurisdiction of what you are allowed to do to not ask us for what number should be published?
I'm not comfortable answering that.
Okay.
And I don't
no,
blame
that's
her.
not reason. If you-
That's
if you-
not reasonable.
You should look at the motion.
I wish
or the
I would have
agenda
asked
item.
Don that question, right? But,
No, he would have told you no.
No, the agenda item says.
well, if he told me no, then,
Okay.
if he would have told us no, then
We need
we
to
have to
move
do what
on,
we're
okay, I
suggesting.
think we.
Becky, I think we
Discussion.
need more
Can't do any more
information
than discuss.
pertaining
Yeah.
to this.
Oh, it's
We can't
obvious
just-
we do.
We
It's
just
obvious
can't
we
just
do.
make an actual
Okay, so we need to
decision.
schedule a special meeting.
Okay.
And at that special meeting, what do we expect to accomplish?
Well, if you want to have more information, then that's when that would be presented to you. So let's make it very clear to Pilar what it is that we want, so that she has it. Or tell me so that I can get it from Don. We want to know what it would do to the taxes for next year.
I'd want to know what it's going to do to the taxes for next year. I'd like to see what the taxes were for the last 3 prior years before raising this. And then I would also like to see for the next 3 years after raising this, if we go up 5% every year for the next 3 years after, what will that do to people's taxes as well?
Say that again. Next 3 years after this.
Send her an email.
The 3 prior years,
Yeah, I got that part.
this current year that we're trying to work
Yes.
out, and the next 3 years in advance, if we go up to the max 5% every year, what that'll do to the average household. That way we know the impact to people.
But see, most of the time, like he had said, for the last 12
I
years,
don't
we
think that
never
freezes.
taxed at our
Frozen.
match.
I'm going with the max, just to know worst
Okay,
case scenario.
okay.
Okay, my question is this, if you have seniors living within the community and this is going to jeopardize their freezing, taxes, or how does this work in terms of?
That's why we want to know the
That's why we wanna
information
have that
on
number.
how the
We need to
taxes
have that number, because
Yes.
if
No, we
people are
agree.
living from
That's
paycheck
what he's
to
asking
paycheck.
for.
Okay, so now that we know that information, what numbers are we using for the levy to put in this?
We're not right now,
We're not.
we're gonna have a
We're
special
gonna
But
have
at
meeting.
that
special meeting,
discussion.
We're gonna have a
and I'll
special
tell
meeting
her
once we
what
have all this
number.
information, so we can
But
have.
at my question was, or I'm trying to get it out, at the special meeting, then we're gonna determine what the
Yes.
number's going to be.
Because
For the-
apparently
for the
nobody's
hearing.
comfortable
And
with
how
having
many
a number
days
now.
how much time do we have to get that number to you so it can make the paper?
Well, can you just draft it without a number in there, and then we'll tell you the number at the special meeting, and then you just put it in and get it out the paper the next day?
Well, it's
No,
not,
that's-
Whatever it
that's not
is.
the point.
The notice
Has
if
to
we
be-
are going to vote in at the November regular meeting, the notice needs to be published in the newspaper on the 8th. Usually, we need to get them those notices by the week prior to that, so by the Friday prior to the 8th.
So a Friday prior to the 8th.
And
Which is the first.
it's not very likely we could
it's
have
2
a
weekdays.
day that would be
Oh, is
okay for everybody for a
The
special
8th is a
meeting
Friday and the
in that
1st is a
short
Wednesday.
period of
No,
time.
no, the 8th is a Wednesday.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
What are we
so
talking
then
about?
we need
What
to
date?
have this meeting,
She has to have the number to put in the paper by November 8th, or the Friday before November 8th.
Which is November 3rd.
Third.
Yes. So therefore, we don't have a lot of
No,
time.
we don't. So let's see what we got.
Not
Today's
even
the
2
18th.
weeks.
Well, wait a second, if we put it in November 3rd for like the journal, it doesn't go, you have a Monday deadline on that. Tom
No,
Bob's deadline is
normally they
Monday.
want it on Friday. prior.
His deadline's Monday at noon.
no,
Let's not do that.
I think it depends on, yeah.
What about next week? Later in the week, or maybe Monday the 30th, or,
I'm good on Monday the 30th.
I won't be able to do Monday the 30th, but I can do the Wednesday the 1st. Is that gonna be enough
I
time?
cannot.
I'm good on the 30th.
I
We're-
think I'm good
we're
on the
leaving on
30th.
Tuesday.
What day is the 30th?
Monday seems to be
next
better
week we
days
leave on
for
the
me.
23rd, and we come back on the 26th.
So you're talking the following week.
Right,
The
the
following
30th is a Monday.
Okay, because I'm
Laura's not
thinking,
here on a
don't
Monday.
affect,
Laura
I've got
doesn't-
enough going
Laura
next
doesn't
week.
work on Monday, right?
I'm sorry?
The
No,
Laura
it doesn't
doesn't
work
mean
on
it's
No.
not changing any days.
She
Just
could,
my date, my time a little.
Oh.
because
okay, so not
Tuesday
the
is
days,
Halloween,
okay.
we don't wanna,
No, no, Halloween is no good.
But that
and the
doesn't
first
have to
was
be
somebody-
Yeah, I'm
Monday,
not
right?
good on the 1st.
Well, I can
Or the
adjust
2nd,
mine.
honestly.
all right, let's stick with it. Pilar, would you be able to switch for Monday, or,
I
The 30th.
can be here Monday night on
Yeah.
the 30th, not
Yes.
in the day.
all right,
So I need to post this meeting
yes.
tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is the 19th, you have,
Oh, that's right, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the wrong week.
I know.
I thought today was
It's
the
a-
25th.
See, I was a week off too, and I was,
So
they were telling me days.
Monday, October 30th at 7 PM,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
special meeting.
on Levy.
It's a Monday, yes. And so tomorrow I will get in touch with Don and ask him our questions to have that prepared. Maybe he can have that, however long it takes him to get that ready. Maybe Pilar, he'll have it for Friday, I don't know.
Yeah.
If not, then Tuesday, but in plenty of time for the 30th.
Yeah.
All right, so let me recap. We're gonna get this information from Don. We're gonna have a special meeting on the 30th, at which time we're going to give direction on what amount to put in the ordinance so that we can vote on it at the November regular meeting and possibly have the truth and taxation hearing before that meeting starts.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, because if we don't have that information ahead of time, that meeting is gonna be a waste.
Yep.
Because we're gonna sit here saying the same stuff.
Yeah, and we'll need a motion to discuss and approve a number for that.
Yes. And that's no problem.
Okay.
All right, so, do I have a motion to approve resolution? Nope. Do I have a motion to approve the recommended salary range? I'm 10E. Motion to approve the, recommended salary range for the executive director position from 120,000 to 140,000.
I so move.
Second.
All right. Dan?
Trustee Kadir?
Yes.
Trustee Derblick?
Oh, yes, then we're gonna have discussion, okay.
Trustee Schoenfeld?
Oh, we're doing it, yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trumbo?
Yes.
And President King?
Yes.
7-7 passes.
Is there a motion to approve $15,081 to Oak Brook Mechanical Services from the capital expenditures
Wait
special?
a minute, we just voted to approve that last motion?
Yes.
Yep.
I thought we voted to discuss it.
You don't
No.
vote to discuss. You just open it up first and second, and then discuss.
Okay, I have discussion for that last.
We just voted.
Voted, it's over.
Well, I asked, this is to discuss.
No, you didn't.
I did, I
She
asked
did.
her.
She did, yeah, but
I didn't
after
hear you.
being on the board for 10 years.
Okay, I'm
That's
sorry,
one
you
thing.
know what? I needed to discuss this.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I didn't hear your request.
Oh, do you need to hear me? Or does the person taking the role need
I
to
think
hear my
everyone needs to
question?
hear you.
Cassandra's not in charge of
Yeah.
facilitating anything.
I asked her to take the role and she did. I didn't
let her say what she wants to say.
Yeah, I have no issue with saying it. We already voted, so.
Well,
Exactly.
whatever.
I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that we're getting into the habit of straw polling. I got a phone call from Kadir. I know trustee Schoenfeld got a call from trustee Botello, wanting to know what we thought about a salary range for the executive director. I hadn't seen a job description, but yet we're gonna have a straw poll vote, and you posted a job description with the salary without having us vote in open session.
We are voting to approve it right now.
Okay, now you're doing it now, you're trying to ratify it because you didn't do it correctly.
I did do it
But that does, no, you didn't. The only straw polling you could take is for emergency purposes. So, this is becoming a habit, but not only that, I don't understand how I could have even agreed to a salary if I didn't know what the qualifications and experience were going to be to this trust executive director position.
Can I comment on that?
And
Are you
She's
done?
not
No,
done.
I'm just asking if you're
She's
done.
not done.
yeah, 1 second. There's been a drastic change in the responsibilities of the director, just with the past two directors. So why that discussion wasn't held with all the trustees, since this particular person will be reporting to us, I would think all of our experiences should have been part of the conversation. Who created that? I wasn't aware of it.
So the search committee created that job description, and it was posted, and you were informed of where it is and where you can find it.
Okay, who's the search
Who's the
committee
search
that
committee?
decided?
That has already also been explained to you. It consists
Well,
of.
thank you for repeating it.
Yep, it consists of Kathy from HR Source, Cassandra, myself, and Patty.
Okay, so again, why were only two trustees?
You know the answer to
Because
that.
Part of the
open meetings
job- no,
violations.
It's not that's another thing. You are totally incorrect. That there's an OMA violation.
If you have
That's what we were
three
told
or
by the
more,
attorney.
Okay, you need to call the attorney back, because I spoke with him and you totally misunderstood him. There is no problem with more than two trustees being on a committee. The problem is when the trustees leave the meeting, because there are only 4 people in the meeting, you can't have more than a quorum speaking. But the Illinois statutes do not prohibit the number of trustees on that committee. So since you brought that up, well, I'll bring that up another, that's why I want to be on that committee. But all of us should have had input
That's right,
on this
you
job
should have.
description. Patty, and you are the only ones with input?
No,
no,
Cassandra and
actually,
Kathy
the
also.
woman from,
But why
Yeah,
is
but they
it
haven't
HR
been in
source?
this library, they don't realize what the transition's been in this
But we
library.
do, and that's why we're
No,
part
you
of the
don't,
committee.
no, you don't. You've had very little to do with the last director, you have no idea the difference between her responsibilities and the previous director.
Well,
And you don't even want to have that conversation.
I appreciate your input, and I disagree with your opinion.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact. But trustee Kadir, please share your input as well.
I honestly don't remember what I was gonna respond to.
Sorry.
But, I will say more generally that, we delegated the responsibility. We agreed to hire HR Source. We voted on that in open session. And it was to be understood that HR Source would be bringing us the initial candidates, and that we, as a board of 7 people, would then interview those candidates and decide on a final person. And so it was understood by me that HR Source would be doing things like putting together the job description without having to bring it to the entire board.
Not at all, not at all.
That's how, I didn't say that's what it was or wasn't, I said that's what I understood
Okay.
it to be.
And I just want to finalize, this whole process is violative of our procedure and
Is what?
applicable law.
Can you repeat that?
It's a violation.
Violative.
Okay, I don't agree with 140,000 for this position,
No.
especially after I finally got a hold of the job description. It is so general and so gray,
that doesn't mean they
It's
have to be paid
unbelievable.
140.
okay? But, this new board, all you do is rush through costs, rush through expenses.
Carolyn,
You don't want to
please.
take time to have an open discussion so the residents can even be part of it, or so that you can maybe gain knowledge from everybody on this board. But continue just with this rush
Because
through
we
everything.
aren't like you were, where you ramrod everything, when you were president. And
Point of
don't say you
information.
didn't, you
Point
did.
of information.
Yes.
Point of information, Patty, please
I hear
explain.
you, I hear you. I don't have to explain, I stated the
can't.
fact.
Go ahead, Jason.
Look at any of the past meetings.
Point of information.
Jason.
Jason, go ahead.
This, the job posting is up, it's live, it's active with this salary.
Yes.
Okay, we just voted at 7-0
Yes.
to vote, so
Yes, so we
that's
should
it,
move
so
it.
we're up to the next.
I'd like to remove my vote. It was an error.
It's-
Yeah. Change her vote.
Please change my vote. I had no idea I was voting to approve. I
don't
thought I
know
was
why you
voting
didn't
to
know what was
discuss.
happening.
Because-
We're all sitting here at the same table.
Because I'm busy reading this information to be prepared.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you can change
I
it
don't think you
after
can
the
change your
fact.
vote
Well, let her
after it's
change
closed.
it. What,
No,
even,
I don't
you can?
legally
Yeah,
can,
but
it's
I don't know that
closed.
you can.
Okay,
Legally, you
fine.
can, it's closed.
Whatever.
What?
You should note on the record that you, if you could change your vote, you would, but it won't, you know what I mean? Because I don't think you can. Once you're actually
I've
voted
seen
on
it done before.
That doesn't mean it's
something.
legal.
That doesn't mean, it doesn't mean it's allowed.
Well, if you were unaware of the purpose of the vote,
But then you should have asked when you were voting.
well, I did, but I guess I didn't yell it, so. Well, you
I
could just
mean,
make a
I don't know.
notation that I was not
It'll be in
voting
the minutes.
to approve this.
Yeah, it'll be
Thank
in the
you.
minutes.
Thank you.
Make her happy.
I don't see what's so difficult
Well,
about sharing
Because
it.
once she announced what the vote was, the roll was, I don't think you could legally change your vote because it's closed at that point.
Well, I've seen it done, so I,
It doesn't
you
mean
know,
it's-
do whatever you want, just it's in the minutes, I'm good, go ahead. Just-
Okay.
I mean,
All
we
right.
go so fast
So
through
I
these.
was, we are on 10F. I am asking if there's a motion to, right, we're on 10F?
I
Yeah.
move to approve 15,081 to Oak Brook Mechanical Services from the capital expenditures special reserve fund for the budgeted replacement of the variable frequency drive for the AHU2 supply fan.
I second.
Rich, I have a couple questions regarding that. On that power, system that we are planning to implement, what is the lead time on that?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
The lead time, how many weeks is it going to be implemented for the system be completed?
For this?
Correct.
So the
Once
lead-
it's installed, what is the lead time?
the lead time to get the VFD is approximately 25 to 30 weeks,
And the implementation, how long will it take?
1 day.
1 day to implement the whole
Yes,
system?
So if we ask, it's not a system, it's a VFD drive.
Okay,
And so we'll be more than likely not asking the library board to close. Last time we did not the supply fan, but the return fan, and we picked a day where the temperature was moderate, so it wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold, and they took apart the system, took apart the VFD, and replaced it within a day. So.
Can you repeat what what you said the lead time would be?
Yeah, anywhere between 24 and 30 weeks, basically. It changes every time you ask, so,
Uh-huh, sure.
24 and 30 weeks?
yes, half a year plus. So I'm hoping that we can get this paid out of this year's budget. It's out of the special reserve building fund, but we did ask and you approved that it's in the budget to be spent this year, out of the fund that we have in savings.
Let's do it. Get on the list as quickly as we can.
and then Rich, I have another question. In
Yes.
terms of the underload detection, how is that going to work? Is there an automatic shut off or?
Yes, it will, so unlike the current one where it will shut off and then we have to manually go down there and restart it, this has an automatic where it will shut off the fan motor so that it does not cause any damage to it. And it will automatically restart it once the condition passes.
So the system will just stop in the event of the belt switch or anything that needs to be implemented?
Right.
Thank you.
That's great.
Are there any other questions? Cassandra, go ahead.
Trustee Kadir?
Yes.
Trustee Derblick?
Yes.
Trustee Schoenberg?
Yes.
Treasurer Botello?
Yes.
Secretary Rosansky?
Yes.
Vice President Trumko?
Yes.
President Keith?
Yes.
7-7, it passes.
7-0.
So we're gonna set
abstain.
Is there a motion to approve $16,813 to Hayes Mechanical from capital expenditures, special reserve building fund for the budgeted replacement of chilled water pump number 1?
So
I
moved.
so move. I second.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right, Cassandra, thank you.
I apologize, who moved?
Yes.
Thank you,
And I second.
that one I got. All right, so, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Durford,
Yes.
trustee
Yes.
Shaw. Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Treasurer Botello,
Yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
vice president Trunco,
Yes.
president Key.
Yes.
7-0 passes.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated pricing proposal from the library's roof consultant, building envelope consultants for the roof refurbishment project and authorize a prepayment impress check totaling $17,500 for Phase 1 A and B and 2, last approved at the August 19, 2020 regular board meeting, agenda item 11.a.
I second. I'm actually good. Settle that.
Trustee Kadir,
Yes. Oh,
Are any
discussion.
questions?
So
Oh,
we
I'm
have
sorry.
discussion.
Yes, discussion now.
Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions. So we are considering, I'm sorry, did I miss something?
No.
We are considering BEC to be the library's roof consultant for one, and I'm trying to wonder why. I'm reflecting back on the year that we had to deal with them. We actually suspended this along with other special reserve projects, but after that, we learned that a lot of the work they did was incomplete, and we actually went round and around about not wanting to pay them. It actually went through the attorney. Somehow, I'm not sure, I'm not sure why they ended up getting paid. I think it was a 3-3 board at that time. But the part that,
Because the lawyer was there and was gonna sue us.
well, the fact that they didn't complete the job, the work properly would not have mattered once you go to court. Facts are facts. But what I wanted to say, so we went through this back and forth about suing them, and it was agreed that they would receive the balance of the money owed them. And then shortly after that, the library was experiencing water in a couple of departments because BEC had made these, drilled these cores for samples, which were improperly filled and caused all the water to come through those departments,
I
which
think
we had
that's
to pay.
incorrect information.
No,
that you're
it's
pointing
not.
out,
It
yeah.
is factual.
I think Rich
Can I
explain.
finish,
Rich, can
please?
you
I think Rich
answer
Can I
explain.
finish, please?
You
Rich
can
doesn't
finish
need
if you
to
actually
explain.
are going to use facts.
Yeah,
because
they
those
are
not
facts. I got this information from Cindy sent out an email, and we actually had to have somebody hired to fill them correctly.
Yes.
And we
They were
received.
temporary and they were supposed to be done.
The
We were
roof was
supposed to have a
supposed
new
to
Please
roof.
don't
Placed by them.
interrupt.
Well, then please don't give false
Okay,
information.
it's not false information. If
You're
you're going,
misleading.
no, I'm not misleading, you're misunderstanding. If you're going to take samples to determine whether or not you have wet insulation, you don't just leave them.
What is the question?
You know what, if you would stop interrupting me, the residents would think we're not as animus as we are towards each other. Okay, back to trying to explain all the issues we had with BEC. So they left us by not filling those holes,
That's your opinion.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Do you need me to bring all sorts of
I need you to
documentation
ask
to
your
you?
question.
Ask a question, because that's what you said you were going to do. Please ask a
I'll
question.
My question
We have
is,
Rich here to answer.
I don't need Rich's explanation, I was part of this, I was very
I was
well
also-
And
involved.
so was I, dear.
Okay, I wasn't, and I'd like the point of information if you could share with what you
Okay.
have for that. And Rich, can I ask you, what trustee Driblick is saying, is this accurate or what was the case with these holes that were drilled?
She's got all her
I'm,
documents.
Do you
I'm
have the
asking,
bill?
I'm up to Rich right now, I'm asking Rich a question.
What specific, or?
And were these holes drilled and were they filled properly, were they filled incorrectly, or is it just normal when you work on a roof that sometimes leaks happen?
No, they were
So-
specific.
I'm
Please
asking,
let
I'm
Rich
asking
answer.
Rich, I'm not
Sorry,
asking
sorry.
you, thank you.
A number of cores were taken in order to prepare the report for the board. Temporary patches were put on those cores. They were basically reinstalled, and temporary patches were installed due to the fact that the board had committed to replacing the roof membrane at the very least, and at the most replacing the membrane, ripping the insulation, replacing the insulation, and putting a new membrane.
And that's the roof that you and I were up on that one day?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on all the.
So it's all the roofs.
Okay,
We were gonna
It's
do
up the
it
top.
on all the
Okay.
roofs.
Go on the roof and there's no
So,
complications.
yes.
And Joe went on the roof.
Okay.
So had it been repaired as we had planned,
Right.
that wouldn't have happened.
Correct.
And it's because we didn't follow through with our plan that we had the leaks.
Well, I believe,
Well,
Rich,
the board did approve the contract for the winning bidder, the
Right.
lowest qualified winning bidder. But then
It's not due to faulty work on the.
It wasn't,
the next board decided that they would not want to continue with that.
Right.
award.
right.
so Rich, do you have a
Do
copy
you have a
of,
copy of that?
of the, work order from the other company we hired to fill those holes that indicated they were not properly sealed?
They indicated that they used a
Could we get-
temporary,
Could we get a copy?
and they did not use the same membrane. And they did not, because they indicated they were going to fill them temporarily with temporary patches and not do the same membrane patch.
Rich, can I ask you a question as well? In your expertise, did PEC do a good job?
They did, and the board decided to pay them for the
That they
And-
did.
amounts that they did, which ended up being $41,000. They did the inspection, they did the report, they did a $5,000 additional change that the board wanted to do, which revolved around lowering the cap of the old elevator. And then they did the bid work, and so all that was due. There was two payments, one was preliminary payment for, I think, phase one, and then phase two and three that they completed with the add-on, the $5,000 change order, was $33,000, and then the board approved that check to be paid. So some of that work is already done, it's baked in, the design work, for example, but they still need to do their full diligence of reviewing that. They still have to hold the bid. I believe about $17,500 is work that they have to relook at and redo. And then the rest is to manage the project.
So I guess what I'm asking you in short is, in your opinion, there's nothing they did wrong the first time that would warrant us going in a different direction
I
the second
couldn't
time?
find anything that they did wrong, since the board approved this to be the roofing contractor after negotiating with three companies.
I'm sure Rich wouldn't put this in front of us tonight if he wasn't
I know,
confident in
I'm
your
just,
abilities.
I'm trying to get it on the record.
Yeah, they have a stellar reputation in this area, and so we're continuing with
And
it.
so this is a discussion,
Thank
it's
you.
not a retrieval of more information. We're just,
Okay, so if I could now finish
so we're
my,
not retrieving more information at this point.
I'm
We're
not trying to
discussing
retrieve, I'm
a
trying to
yes
discuss
or
this.
no. We're discussing yes or no on this vote.
Okay, no, right now, I'm trying to bring out the issues that occurred with BEC. Thank you, Rich, for your explanation. I think some of you were on the board when
No, we
BEC had an RFP was solicited, and I understand there were over 10 contractors on the roof that were
Okay.
interested in this, and there were problems. Yes,
Just,
there were
let's
problems
not talk
with
for 10
the.
minutes about this.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Rich was speaking and now I'd like to continue. There were problems with many of the contractors. I brought this up during our meeting with BEC, that the specifications that they provided did not explain a lot of the details that were needed to determine how to bid on this job. And these contractors called BEC. BEC refused to answer their questions when they were on the roof, And then when they telephoned them, they actually, BEC hung up on them. And this happened with numerous companies. And, you know, I can go round and round with that, but that's just one thing. Then the third thing that was problematic, the company that BEC chose to be the roofing contractor never completed the bid. He didn't put in the materials he was using and some other information, and I questioned BEC, but they still went with that company. So, I mean, when a consultant comes out and this is the way they perform, I don't know why we would bring them back, but that's my problem. Those are the problems I have with BEC. My other question is, why do we need to start all over with a roofing consultant when we've already had 10 different roofing companies come out and give us detailed bids for a roof replacement? Why couldn't we just go with an RFP instead of adding another layer of unnecessary expense?
There was many questions, should I try to
Yes,
answer?
sure.
Try and
why
answer
couldn't
Rich,
we-
and
so
then
the
I will
main
make a
question
comment when
is-
she's
The
finished.
main question is, rather than go with BEC, rather than go with another roofing consultant, since we've already had 10 contractors come out and bid on the job, couldn't we just bid for the roofing? I guess you guys are doing a replacement and go from there.
I'm happy to answer.
We know all the information, we have it.
Should I answer now?
If you'd like.
I would. I didn't know if you were finished. So to answer your main question that you just rephrased, the library advertised for roofing consultants. We, as in the board, interviewed and decided on BEC as the roofing consultant for the library. That has not changed. We don't have the expertise on staff in order to manage a project like this. So that's why we went out to advertise for these services per Illinois statute. We have an existing relationship with them. They've updated their proposal for the work that continues or needs to continue for this. So that's the reason why we're speaking with BEC. And at the budget meeting, you actually indicated to me during the budget meeting that your intention to have me contact BEC to continue the work. So I'm.
Oh, I never made that
Yes,
reference.
it's there. We can.
Well, not me personally.
You
The board as a
specifically-
whole.
Yes. No, specifically.
Oh, no, I would never ask you to contact
Yeah.
BEC.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So will you contact the existing roof consultant? That was the word. I don't know if you said the word BEC, but the existing roof consultant, and we only have one. In terms of going back and looking at the bids that were done for that RFP we awarded to a company. And we can't, they will not do it for that price. And so we cannot continue to use that RFP from back in 2021. So we need to do a new RFP. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to redo the RFP.
Okay, so my question is, rather than going through a roofing consultant, why couldn't we just submit an RFP updated to whatever seems to have changed?
So in order to do that, we need a consultant
Can I
with
please
approval.
finish? We have the proposal from BEC as far as what they recommend, how they would want contractors to come on this roof and perform. So if we already have this, and we already had contractors come out, why can't we just ask them to come out, do an analysis, provide a proposal, and give us a price? I'm just wondering
So
how many layers of information do we really need?
If you look at what we're asking them to do and what their revised quote or proposal is for their services, we're asking them to review the historical documentation. It's been a number of years. Visually inspect the roof system and provide the board with an updated written report that's substantially less than what they've done originally. We're also asking them to do the design of the roof. We're not aware of what kind of codes have changed. Perhaps, maybe if I research statutes, I can maybe figure
Oh, no, I wouldn't want you to do that. You shouldn't do that.
But again, these are professional roofing consultants. We have a sophisticated roof.
Okay, back to my
It needs to
question.
stay there. It
Okay,
needs to be
thank
there
you,
for a number
thank
of
you.
years. You wouldn't let me
Thank
finish.
you. No,
I wanna
I'm
answer
there.
your question.
Back to my question.
Okay,
What
I'm
you
gonna ask
just,
Rich a question to
what
finish,
you
please.
just
Hang on, I'm asking Rich
mentioned,
to
what
finish,
you
please.
just mentioned,
He's
we
answered
can
your question,
provide
and you
to
keep
a
bringing it
roofing
up.
Excuse me.
contractor. I'm
Excuse
asking,
me.
can we do that? That's my
Thank you,
question.
trustee Derblick. He is trying to answer your question. Let him
No,
finish,
he's
please.
way past my question. He's
Then let's
reading,
move on.
no, my
Then
question
let him
is,
answer your question. Thank you.
he's
Go
not
ahead, Rich.
answering it. He's
He
reading
is
a
trying to,
BEC.
if you would let him
And I'm
speak.
trying to explain,
You don't
if
need
you
to
understood
explain.
anything about what I'm saying, you would quit
Okay,
interrupting.
let's keep moving along. We've been on this for 6
So Rich,
minutes
if
and
you
he
want to
hasn't
finish
answered
reading
your
that, go
question
right
yet.
ahead.
Oh, okay. So we're asking them to do the bid management, which is, again, lower than it was before. And then the part that they were not able to do and they did not bill us and were not paid, is the construction phase. In order to verify that the awarded bidder, the roofer, completes the installation of the roof properly. And so, again, that's why we're asking to continue with the roofing consultant that the board has already approved and contracted with to update the proposal. That's what today is, so that they can come either in the November or the December meeting with the updated report on the condition of the roof and prepare for you some recommendations as to what options they would recommend for the board to decide on, so that then we can continue and they would advertise, do the RFP again, conduct the on-site reviews, which I was here, I was on the roof. They seemed very responsive in what I saw. We had, I think, 15 to 16 roofers on site. I think about 8 or 10 decided to do the sealed bid. Yes, unfortunately, some of the roofers, the lowest bidding roofers, did miss things. However, if you look at it as a whole, there was approximately 4 that did not. And so we had chosen the third option, which was the lowest and qualified bidder at the time. I don't know how much more I can say about it. I mean,
Oh, no.
we can't really
Fine,
go
you're
and
fine.
do an
My-
RFP ourselves.
But my
I
question
mean, I
is,
can use the old one, but again, it's
3 years old.
yeah, exactly. It's 3 years old.
Okay, what I'm
and then
trying-
who's gonna do the construction part of this?
what I'm trying to say is that we can solicit, we can create an RFP soliciting roofing contractors to come out to give us an analysis, to provide a proposal along with pricing. We don't need to have a consultant do that.
And we can have no one to interpret that.
So what the
Interpret
board
what?
is allowed to
Interpret
do
what?
is, enter into contract,
Well, all I
for
can say is
services.
it's been done in the past.
And so
I'm
what
just
the
saying,
board has. The board has already done it with this roofing consultant. So.
okay, I
and
know,
then
please don't repeat. I'm trying
they
to
have the
say,
design.
I'm trying to
It's gonna
say, I
cost
would
us
like
less
to
use
eliminate
that.
the consultant. Apparently, nobody feels that
Well,
we need to do
can you
that.
make
so we're done.
a motion
Make
to
a
do
motion
that?
then. You can make a
Amend the
motion.
motion.
Okay, I'd like to amend the motion to approve an updating proposal from the library, from BEC Building Envelope Consultants for the roof refurbishment project.
How do you
And,
wanna amend it? You have to say.
and
it in the-
request that we, and amend, okay. I amend the motion to approve a pricing proposal from BEC Building Envelope Consultants and amend it to request an RFP from roofing contractors to provide an analysis of the roof along with a proposal and pricing.
So I'm just,
What you
because I'm
just-
gonna be involved in this, I'm very confused as to this, because, again,
What are
we
they-
can put it together an RFP ourselves.
Change the motion.
But
If you-
if
You
no
didn't
one,
amend the motion, you just.
You didn't amend the motion, you actually just reread the motion and added to it. So what you're asking, when you
Oh,
just,
so I'll just read my amendment. I
Yep.
amend, I motion to amend, by requesting an RFP to roofing contractors to provide an analysis for the roof along with a proposal and pricing.
That would be,
Second.
Okay, and we have Susan,
I
or
second
Suzanne
it.
as her second.
Okay, are we voting on the amended motion now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I read that back, just to make sure
Please
that you
do.
have it?
Please do.
Trustee Derblick moved to amend by requesting an RFP to a roofing contractor to provide an
No,
analysis.
plural, to roofing,
From-
for roofing
Contractors.
contractors.
To provide an analysis along with pricing.
Proposal
Proposals and pricing,
Okay.
that's what I have.
for the roof refurbishment project.
Um, Trustee Kadir,
No.
excuse me, trustee Derblick,
Yes.
Yes, for me.
trustee Shalfo, yes. Treasurer Botello,
No.
Secretary Rosansky,
No.
Vice President Trumpo,
no.
President Key.
No.
Okay, I
Thank you.
restore the original motion.
You don't have.
Oh,
You don't
You
have
don't
to
have to.
because the
Now we just go
motion
right
is
to the
still
vote.
on the
so, okay,
on
so
the
can we vote on the original?
board, or on the table.
Yes. All right, so, original motion, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Derblick,
No.
trustee Schoenfeld,
No.
treasurer Botello,
I'm sorry, I passed. I tuned out.
It was the original motion.
The
Oh,
original
yes,
motion.
please. Yes, I tuned out. Forgive me.
sorry.
After all the talking, I can understand it.
Secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
Vice President Trumpo,
Yes.
President Key.
Yes.
5-2, passes.
Before we move on to executive session, I just wanted to point out that, the motion on 10G, was, not read in full, and I just wanna make sure everybody's aware of the full motion in both parts of it, since it wasn't read into the record.
Yeah, because there's two prices.
There's two portions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just noting that.
So should we read it?
It.
I'll read it.
Okay.
We already voted on it, but
Yeah.
if you
But
want to
I'll read it
go
into the
ahead and
record.
read
The
it.
motion was to approve $16,813 to Hayes Mechanical from the Capital Expenditures Special Reserve Fund for the budgeted replacement of chilled water pump number 1, and $11,779 also to Hayes Mechanical from the Capital Expenditures Special Reserve Fund for the emergency replacement of the triple duty valve for chilled water pump number 1, should it be necessary during the replacement of chilled water pump number 1.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to move to executive session.
Did we do 11?
Yes.
That's what we just
Okay.
did.
You know
wanna
what?
make a
There's
motion to
been so
recess
much
for 5
talking,
minutes?
I'm like,
Or do we not need to do, okay. All right, I second.
so we
Okay.
vote to go into executive
Yeah.
session?
Yeah, just all start.
Okay, I gotta write down the time. Hang on.
All right, trustee Kadir,
Yes.
trustee Derblick,
Yes.
trustee Schoenfeld,
Yes.
treasurer Botello,
Yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
vice president Trumpo,
Yes.
and president Key.
Yes.
Passes.
Celebration of culture.
Okay, they are ready for us. It's 10:06.
No. I don't think we need to vote.
There's no action on closed session items, so we are on other. Anyone have other?
I would like to ask once again, if I could be added to the committee for the executive director, since the attorney clarified that having 3 trustees or more than 2 trustees on the committee would not be an OMA violation.
When was this clarification made?
This morning.
Okay, well, I have not received that. My instruction, and I have it in writing from the lawyer, is that it can only be 2.
Okay,
so
what lawyer?
Dennis Walsh.
Okay, that's the same person I talked to
That's
this
interesting,
morning.
yeah. Mhm.
He explained that what he stated was that when
I
you,
also have emails from Kathy from HR Source, specifically saying that that would slow down the process, and she does not recommend having more than 2 trustees.
she
on there.
recommended 3 initially.
Okay, so if you'd like to see
Can
my
you just
emails, I'm
send
happy
that-
to share
can
them
you
with
send the
you,
email
but
from
it's
Dennis?
not.
I'll have Dennis send an email.
Yeah.
Who do you want me to send the have him send email to Becky?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And why would, she recommended 3 trustees, but then somebody thought, Dennis said you can't have 3.
He did.
Okay, so, well, he claims, all right, I'll have him email you.
Great.
Alrighty.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one comment. You know, a lot of things are going on in the world. A lot of us are, you know, obviously, I'm sure all of us are familiar with what's going on in the world. But you know, this happens because people hate each other. People dehumanize each other across the board. And I think that we're in a library, we're in a place of learning. We should be respectful of the idea that we have different opinions. We should try to treat each other respectfully. The extreme of not treating someone respectfully is killing them for it, which we are seeing both in other parts of the world and in this country, unfortunately, now. And so we should be, you know, we need to be an example that we can have our disagreements vehemently as they may be, but respect each other as human beings. Everybody here is trying to do their best to, you know, serve this library. So let's try to tone down our you know, our aggravation at one another. Let's try to tone down, you know, all of these things. We're all human beings. Everybody's opinion is, everybody's entitled to share their opinion. You know, nobody should demonize anyone else, because, you know, we are unfortunately seeing that the end result of extreme demonization, where that ends up. So just wanted to share those thoughts.
Thank you.
And I would like to congratulate Victoria for her anniversary.
Just a couple of business items, really quickly. Not So Haunted House is coming up. I encourage all of us to attend if possible. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it this year, but I know last year was a really fun time. I wanted to give you a short update on the director search. The posting has been up for about 10 days. We've had 13 applications, and we have some phone interviews scheduled. That only happens with Kathy from HR Source. She's the only person involved with those. She will let us know when they're scheduled and what the results of those are. And then I just wanted to remind trustees, if you were interested in dropping off some dessert for Staff Day this Friday, you can drop it off. Also, if you were interested in chipping in for the gift that they are getting, I'm happy to receive that as well. And that's all I have.
I'd like Cassandra know tomorrow around 2 o'clock I'll be bringing the cake from Costco.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Were you looking for monetary contributions?
Yeah, there was an email about that, so
Okay, yeah.
I can go back to that if you need.
I don't remember, but you can just remind me.
I'll remind
Yeah.
you. Okay. All right.
we didn't have a trustee report section. I think we're dropping that out. But I did want to say that the Northern Illinois Raptor Center program on the 8th was amazing. Was amazing. We had some staffers, I can't remember who as well, who attended, but I mean, it was first time I've seen an owl in the library. Great horned owl.
Well, it's
Nice
the
little-
bird of
It looked
wisdom,
cool.
right?
Yes, yes, the bird of wisdom. We had a peregrine falcon in the library as well. I mean, it was a pretty intense boardroom.
And the
So,
the stained glass in the teen center is really, really beautiful. It means a lot to the kids that see it firsthand.
Cool.
Touch them.
And I totally got a lot personal benefit out of this Tuesday's morning meeting with the chamber. When I go, I meet a lot of people that work in whatever in the community, and it is nice, and I really appreciate the way they're all willing to share with each other.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I
Second.
Oh.
Take your choice.
Choosing you.
Yeah,
Take your
Carolyn
choice.
second.
Isn't this terrible at the end, everybody second?
All right, trustee Goodyear,
Yes.
trustee Beverly,
Yes.
trustee Schoenfeld,
Yes.
treasurer Botello,
Yes.
secretary Rosansky,
Yes.
vice president Trumpo,
Yes.
president King.
Yes, 10:13.
All right, thank you guys.
You may recycle my.